The Super Mario series has had many overpowered power-ups in its lifetime. There's so many power-ups that you could just say, yep, that is the best power-up in Mario history. So in this video, I'm going to be going over all of the Super Mario Bros. Power-ups that are the most powerful in the entire series. Now in this video, I will not be talking about spin-offs such as Super Mario Party or Super Mario Kart. With that being said, let's get right into it. Now to start off this video, I want to go over the Cloud Flower. Now the Cloud Flower was introduced in Super Mario Galaxy 2, and what this power-up does is it basically allows you to make platforms in the sky just by shaking the Wii remote. Now, clearly, if you think about this power-up's design for more than 2 seconds, you should start to realize how busted this is. And this power-up is pretty much known to be a sequence breaker. Because of the way that this power-up is designed, it basically makes platforming like really easy, and I think the Cloud Flower is really fun to use, and any level that the Cloud Flower is actually in, make that level automatically one of the easiest in the entire game. And I know the same could be said about the Bee Mushroom and all of these other flying power-ups, but I think the Cloud Flower stands out as one of the most overpowered power-ups in Super Mario Galaxy 2. And next up here we have the Cape Feather from Super Mario World. Now the Cape Feather is very interesting, and you could make the case that the Cape Feather takes a lot of skill to charge up, but once you know how to use the Cape Feather effectively, you could basically fly across the entire level using the cape. And you could say the same thing about the Tanuki Leaf, which is another really powerful power-up in Super Mario history. However, if you know how to use the cape, you're never going to touch the ground. You could fly through the entire level, and it's probably one of the most insane Mario power-ups we're ever going to have. So I would say that the Cape Feather is probably one of the most overpowered power-ups in Mario history. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Probably one of my favorite Mario games of all time, even though the theming of the game is probably not the most original out of the entire series. But the next power-up we're going to be talking about is the Propeller Mushroom. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie, the Propeller Mushroom is probably one of the most fun Mario power-ups that we've ever had. But the Propeller Mushroom, once you know how to use it, is basically a infinite flight item such as the Cape Feather. It's not as powerful as the Cape Feather. However, you don't actually have to charge up the Propeller Mushroom like you do with the Tanuki or the Cape Feather. So say you're about to fall into a pit, guess what? Propeller Mushroom. Say you want to skip a section of the level. Propeller Mushroom. Say you got caught cheating on your spouse. Propeller Mushroom. Yeah, the Propeller Mushroom is pretty busted, but I feel like the Propeller Mushroom is the good type of busted. And next up on the list, we're going to be going over the Mega Mushroom and the Giga Cat Bell. Now, I would consider these power-ups to be in the same boat because you basically get really, really big, and you pretty much go on a killing rampage, breaking everything that was ever in your path. Now, I was debating with myself whether or not I would actually be putting these two on the list. However, for the brief amount of time that you do get these two power-ups, they're pretty busted. And yeah, you could say that the Giga Cat Bell is not overpowered because it's basically used for boss fights. However, those boss fights were extremely easy, and due to the raw carnage of the idea of this power-up, I just feel like it deserves a place on this list. Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this choice, but I think there's a case to be made that the Gold Flower from New Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of the most overpowered power-ups of all time. And the reason I say that the Gold Flower is really overpowered is because it not only hits enemies and turns them to gold, but it hits everything and turns it to gold. Basically meaning that if you're good with the Gold Flower and you can reasonably hit your Fire Flower shots, you can basically turn the entire level into a golden monstrosity. So the Gold Flower definitely deserves a place on this list. Now at this spot, I'm actually going to be talking about both the Invincibility Bell and the Invincibility Leaf. Now the Invincibility Bell shows up in Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and the Invincibility Bell is pretty much exclusive to you using Amiibo. Now this makes the Invincibility Bell even more overpowered because you could just get this power up at any time and just obliterate the level and become invincible. But what makes these two power-ups so incredibly busted is that you not only get the invincibility for the entire level, but you also get the abilities of using both the bell bell and the leaf power-up as well. So with the invincibility leaf, you can fly across the entire level with no cooldown. And then with the invincibility bell, you can just run around at hyperspeed, as well as using all of the cat form abilities as well. And I swear, in Super Mario 3D Land, it's even worse, because I swear, every single time I died in Super Mario 3D Land, I would have this damn invincibility leaf show up. It's like if I were taking a test at school, and every single time I got a question wrong, somebody in the corner was like, hey, you want me to give you all the answers? Like, no! I'm pretty sure I could pass the fucking test on my own, thank you very much. And honorable mention here goes to the P-Wing and the P-Acorn, because those are pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact that the P power-ups don't actually make you invincible. Now, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about this choice, but the Bubble Flower from Super Mario Bros. Wonder is probably the most underrated power-up of all time. Now, why do I say that the Bubble Flower is actually overpowered? Because if you learn how to use the Bubble Flower correctly, and you get your jump timing right, you can basically just fly through the whole stage. And this power-up is really good for vertical movement, so in any area of the level that's actually vertical, this power-up really excels. I'd make the case that this power-up is probably one of the only ones that could actually compare to the flight ability of the Cape Feather, and for that, it deserves a place on this list. And last but not least, we're gonna be going over the Carrot power-up from Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Now, this power-up could be considered in the same class as something like the Cape Feather. However, what makes the Carrot unique is that it's not exactly flying, it's hovering. So it's more comparable to something like the Acorn from New Super Mario Bros. U. What really makes the Carrot so powerful is I feel like there was a bit of an oversight when it comes to the Carrot. If you go up to, say, a higher elevation in the level and you're really good at mashing the B button, what you're basically able to do is infinitely stay in the air at the same elevation that you started at, making this power-up way more powerful than I'm sure Nintendo intended it to be. Like, there is one level in this game that you can basically just cheese using the Carrot power-up and just fly across the entire stage, which is pretty crazy for a power-up introduced on the Game Boy. But hey, that was my list of all the best power-ups in Super Mario history. If you guys like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and comment down below if I should make more of these style of videos, because I really enjoyed making this one. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.